Good afternoon, ma'am. This is one Dela Calzada. Along with this report is our Hasim. So, our assigned topic is all about the myth of Pythagoras. So, who is Pythagoras? Pythagoras was a Greek philosopher who made an important developments in mathematics, astronomy, and the theory of music. The theorem known as the Pythagoras theorem was known to the Babylonians in 1,000 years earlier, but he may have been the first to prove it. So, Pythagoras was famous in his mathematical theorem, and Pythagoras is perhaps the most famous figure in the group of ancient Greek philosophers known as the pre-Socratics. Pythagoras is considered a pre-Socratic. It is because he lived before Socrates and focused on a natural philosophy and cosmology. So this is largely due to the Pythagorean theorem, a mathematical theorem that is widely used today. For example, he made an important contribution to religion during his life as well. These aspects of Pythagoras, however, are much well known and have been overshadowed by his mathematical teaching. So, the contribution of Pythagoras in religion is much less well known rather than in his mathematical theorem. And now, let us know the Pythagoras way of life. So, Pythagoras is believed to have been born around 570 BC and spent his early life on Samos, a Greek island in the eastern Aegean Sea. His father was Minarchus, a gem merchant, and his mother was a woman by name Pathias. Pythagoras had two or three brothers as well. The nature of family life is debated, and some historians claim that he was married to a woman named Diana and had a daughter named Damo, and also a son named Talauges. Others claim also that Diana was the Pythagoras student and not his wife. There is also a belief that the ancient Greek philosopher was never married and had no children. And now let us know the Pythagoras journey. So, while Pythagoras' marital status is debatable, it is generally agreed that the philosopher left his place for birth around 530 BC due to a disagreement with the policies of tyrant of Polycrates. It was either at this time or perhaps even before the Pythagoras visited in Egypt and in Babylon, and some say even in India, where he became acquainted with the beliefs and customs of these cultures. Pythagoras eventually settled in Croton, or now known as Croton. At that point of time, a Greek city in southern Italy, and was put in charge of the education of the children and the women of the city. And Pythagoras was become an influential person in the area, and even established an exclusive community of followers in Croton. So Pythagoras likely left Samos around 530 BC due to a conflict with the tyrant Polycrates. He may have traveled to Egypt, Babylon, and India, where he learned about the various cultures, settling in greater Italy, educated local children and women, and becoming influential, forming a community of followers called the Pythagoreans. This group of people focus on mathematics, philosophy, and communal lifestyle, significantly impacting the region and shaping future intellectual developments. So as you can see in this image, this is the illustration depicting Pythagoras teaching women. So Pythagoras is notable for including women in his teaching, which was relatively uncommon in ancient Greek society. His philosophical school, the Pythagorean community, allowed women to participate in intellectual discussions and education. Diana, his wife or follower, is often mentioned as an influential figure within this group and contributing to Pythagorean thought. And this inclusivity reflected Pythagoras' belief in the equality of all individuals in the pursuit of knowledge and spiritual developments. And next is his fame, however, also lead to his downfall. It is said that Chiron, a young man from from an aristocratic family, desired to join this community. When his request was rejected, he gathered anti-Pythagorean support and attacked the philosopher. As a result, Pythagoras abandoned Croton and moved to Metapontum around 500 BC, where he died some years later. And next is Pythagoras' beliefs in the Pythagorean way of life. So, still, one may be able to say a few things about the teaching of Pythagoras. Although Pythagorean thought is dominated by mathematics, the followers of Pythagoras also dabble in mysticism. For example, Pythagoras may have been the first to introduce to the Greeks the idea of the immortality of human soul and reincarnation. This was a radical challenge to the traditional Olympian tradition, as the elevation of the human soul to this immortal status devalued the Olympian gods and their worship, and raised the importance of caring for one's soul. So Pythagoras' teaching included both mathematics and mysticism. He is believed to have introduced the ideas of soul immortality and reincarnation to the Greeks. This challenged traditional beliefs in the Olympian gods by shifting the focus from worship to the importance of caring for one's soul. This represented a significant change in ancient Greek philosophy, emphasizing the personal spiritual developments over divine worship. And next is, as you can see this image, it is the Pythagoras emerging from the underworld. The painting of Pythagoras emerging from the underworld created Sal- by Salvatore Rosa in 1662 depicts a mythical or allegorical scene in which Pythagoras appeared to be emerging from the underworld, symbolizing a journey of knowledge, enlightenment, or transformation. This imagery reflects the philosophical ideas associated with Pythagoras, particularly his beliefs in the immortality of the soul and the pursuit of wisdom. In this painting, Pythagoras is often portrayed with followers or disciples, suggesting his role as a teacher and a guide. And next is the evidence for this destruction are often contradictory. For instance, some sources claim that All meat was prohibited, while others record that only certain meats, like animal used for sacrifice, were prohibited. There are also sources which claim that there was no prohibition or against eating meat. The most famous Pythagorean dietary restriction is perhaps the prohibition against eating beans. There is no agreement about the reason for this prohibition, and the amount of ancient speculation regarding this matter shows that this practice was considered an oath. So Pythagoras and his followers they um, abstain from meat because they believe in reincarnation and the interconnectedness of all souls. They believe that killing animals for food was an act of violence that would affect one's spiritual purity and prevent the soul from achieving union with a higher form of reality. Additionally, they viewed animals as essential beings with souls, and killing them for food was seen as a violation of their inherent worth. And next is let us know the Pythagoras journey. Many legends also say that the Pythagoras made a cup to teach people moderation in their drinking habits. It is a cup with a simple hydraulic system that empties the content through a hole in the base of liquid is filled above a specific line. Pythagoras may have been interested in teaching students that they should apply the idea of moderation to others to aspect of their lives apart from drinking as well. The cup could have been a teaching tool to show that the greed could make a personal lose not only what they hope to gain, but also what they already have. So, lastly is, as you can see in there is a figure of Pythagoras cup. So the Pythagoras cup is a clever drinking vessel from an ancient Greece. It is designed as both a practical joke and a lesson in moderation. Its unique design features a central column that connects the bottom to the rim. It filled too much, the liquid flows through the column and spills out, emptying the cup.
Okay, good day, ma'am. I am Kisar Hasim, and I'm about to discuss the additional sources of our report, which is the Pythagoras. And in this source, it is entitled Pythagoras, the Man, Myth, and the Magus. Now, it states here that legend has it that his brother, or his birth rather, as a golden or sun-blessed child was foretold by the priest of Apollo. And this inspired his name Pythagoras from Phylan Apollo. Now, naka-indicate diri nga si Pythagoras daw kay ang iyang amahan kay si Apollo because the moment nga na birth siya, si Pythagoras daw kay nagload with light or had a golden testicles. So kaning golden testicles is nagreferred sa iyahang thigh or sa iyang legs, something nga na. Now, which is more reasonable kay katong sa report ni Dela Calzada, which is my co-reporter, that his father is named Nesarchus, who came from those carved charms into jewels for talismans. Now, si Pythagoras kay napod siya kanang brother, and kaning brother kay gitawag og Eunomus and Terhanus. Now, while si Pythagoras kay wala siya nakasal or gikasal or wala siya kanang mga anak, pero naa siya'y kanang slave or servant named Zamolsis, and also a disciple na nagkuha sa iyahang pangalan, which is called Pythagoras II. Now, one of the professions to which the young Pythagoras was introduced was philosophy. Now, ang ga-introduce daw niya diri kay ang iyang uncle nga si Zoilus. Now, he introduced the philosophy Pherecydes of Cyrus, author of the text either called Pentimicos or Heptamicos. Now, because of this philosophy, si Pythagoras kay na siya love of learning. Naposas siya kaning ganang kay siya sa iyang love of learning. Then, nagbigan siya og quest for knowledge. Wala lang siya nagstay sa isa ka kuan, sa isa ka lugar, but rather nag-travel pa siya sa Syria, Egypt, Persia, Turkey, and perhaps the India, which is also discussed by my co-reporter. Now, this seemed less likely, but as he did not know the absolute zero, which came from India to the Arabs, and it is reflected in Arabic numbers but not Greek or Hebrew. Now, because of this drive for learning ni Pythagoras, nagka-interest siya not just in the physical world but also kanang outside or spiritually, because ang iyang gigat drive or gi-driven niya kay ato ang ginatawag nga mathematics, which is the numbers, and also the spiritual world of philosophy. And next slide. Now, founding a school called Semicircle, where disciples observe 5 years of silence before advancing. His teachings emphasize vegetarianism, temperance, and the transmigration of souls, influenced by mystery cults like those of Orpheus and Eleusis. Now, diri, ang mga followers ni Pythagoras kay ginatawag og Pythagoreans. So, kani sila kay nag-live sila in a secret society nga nag-practice daw og silence, vegetarianism, and a disciplined way of life. Now, they believe nga si Pythagoras daw kay famous sa iyahang Pythagorean theorem, which is ang right-angled triangle, but he also believes nga ang number daw kay naapod siya in-depth meaning. So meaning to say, wala lang siya nag-focus sa kanang number mismo, but also kanang unsay meaning sa number, unsay kaya sa number sa ato ang spiritual world. And that he stated here that the soul could be reborn after the death. So nag-believe si Pythagoras og reincarnation. Now, most tales of his death involves his refusal to eat beans or even cross a bean field to escape his enemies. Now, si Pythagoras kay vegetarian, but he believes nga ang bean daw kay something na daw siya gas, di ba? Kung na siya gas, meaning to say, napod daw siya soul. Inguna na daw ang beliefs ni Pythagoras. That is why wala po siya nakakaanog beans, or there are also tales nga namatay po daw siya kay tungod dili niya pwede matamakan ang beans, to the point nga nagukod siya sa iyahang kontra, and then yes, gipatay siya. Okay, now on the next page, makita na to diri ang mga works ni Pythagoras, which was not stated by the my co-reporter, because in here additional sources lang ni siya. Now, in terms of philosophical teaching, naka-state dira nga we should always be humble, because we never pray for yourself because you don't know what you needed in life. Now, you should also respect the divine mercy, or respect the gods and honor them, as well as revere heroic the virtues, and also practice moderation in all aspects of life in terms of speech, foods, drinks, and emotions. So dili daw ta mag over speech, mag over drink, or mag over eating, we should always have a moderation or kanang limit jud sa atong kaugalingon. And also, value honesty and patience even when hearing falsehoods. Avoid harming animals as they are believed to have souls. So, ang tao kay naay souls, but it does not mean nga ang animals pod kay wala. So, nagbelieve si Pythagoras nga ang animals daw kay napod daw sila mga souls. Now, dira is mga philosophical teaching ni Pythagoras. Now, in next page, diri na ang life and spiritual evolution niya. So, naka-state diri, first is life is divided into 4 seasons. So, nag-believe si Pythagoras nga ang life daw kay nasa connection sa 4 season. So, 20 years daw as a boy, 20 years as a youth, 20 years as a young man, 20 years an old man. Now, these 4 periods daw kay nag-correspond sa 4 seasons, which is ang boy kay para sa spring, ang youth kay para sa summer, ang young man kay para sa autumn, and lastly, ang old man or an old man is para sa winter. Now, it also states here that embrace death as a natural change and avoid attachment to the past. So, we should not fear death because it is a natural and like a seasons changing. Naka-state po sa work ni Pythagoras or Life and Spiritual Evolution na the past is the foundation upon which we build. The future unknown, but the present moment is ours. So, in simple terms, ang pagsabot ani kay we should always live in the present. Kung unsay na karon, we should always live with that. And kung unsay na as sa past, we should take it as our lesson. So dili daw ta mag-dwell on the past but focus on doing good on what's in here, what's in the present right now. Now, ang contribution ni Pythagoras in terms of the mathematical setup or setting is that the Pythagorean theorem, which is commonly known as a right triangle, the square of the hypotenuse equals to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. I know nga familiar na taaning a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. An example illustration is above the PowerPoint there. So inguna so kana ang mga works ni Pythagoras. Next slide, it states here the magus. You might be wondering, unsa man jud nang the magus? Now, kining magus, upon searching or browsing about the internet, first nakita nako is like work siya like a poem. But then gi-search na po nako, magus daw si Pythagoras. So it means the magus means a wise man. So ngano mang na himong wise man si Pythagoras? Because in here, from the first slide states nga, si Pythagoras nag-believe nga ang universe is deeply connected and follows a natural order of creation and harmony. He explained this process using shapes. Everything starts as a single point, which is the unity, then becomes a line, the duality or relationship, a triangle, ideas and understanding, and finally a square, which is the material world. So, kani siya kay mura siya ang natural order daw or natural phenomenon kay relate niya into shapes nga nadyo daw siya pattern si Pythagoras ana siya. So that's why relate niya into this what's so called tetractys. The 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is equal to 10, which is the perfect combination, which is shown above the picture in my in this presentation. Now, kining first states nga, kining mga steps daw sa shapes, what I've said, kining the point, the line, the triangle, and also the square kay nagrepresent how everything comes from one divine source. So isa ra doon ni ang source niya, leading to the perfect number 10, which is kanang tetractys, represented by the tetractys, a triangular arrangement of dots symbolizing this idea. So kana ang iyang bot pasabot nga ang natural order daw kay naa siya creation of harmony o na siya pattern, which is gina correlate niya sa shape. Now, natawag po siya wise man because he also thought that everything in life, such as the music, mga arts, mga architecture, or even personal choices nga atong gina-follow, kay balance and harmony po daw siya. For example nga atong commonly known nga golden mean or golden ratio. Now, because this is found in nature that creates the beauty and proportion, this ratio later connected to the Fibonacci sequence was used in famous works like Da Vinci's paintings and the design of the Parthenon. So as you can see here in the picture nga, kaning Parthenon kay gi-use ang formula ni Pythagoras nga golden ratio, nga meaning even sa tanan ang music, ang art, architecture nga naka-state diri kay napod siya gina-follow nga order, which is ang golden mean or golden ratio. Now that is my part, and overall si Pythagoras, ang iyang philosophy or understanding of the universal truth applies them to everything in life. So wala lang siya nag-focus sa mathematics itself, but napod siya kanang prinsipyo, napod siya principles in life. So it teach us to live with respect, balance, and harmony with the world around us. That would be all. Thank you.